Imagine an interview that should be filled with tension, hot sauces ramping up, piercing questions, and cameras rolling nonstop. But in the midst of it all, something unexpected happens. Not sweat, not panic, but two superstars, busy enjoying ice cream as if the world around them no longer mattered. And that's where everything changed. Behind the spotlights and a table full of extreme sauces, the atmosphere was initially solemn. Each guest usually arrives mentally prepared for the notoriously unforgiving heat. But when they arrive, the energy shifts. A relaxed aura slowly fills the room, as if this event is about to unfold in a completely different way. Taehyung, with his trademark calm yet surprising expression, sits in a way that piques everyone's curiosity. Beside him, Jungkook looks focused, but there's a glint of curiosity in his eyes. They aren't just guests, they bring a new, indescribable atmosphere. When the challenge begins, the initial reaction is as expected. The heat begins, facial expressions change, and chuckles erupt. But then, something simple captures the attention of everyone in the room: an ice cream cone. Without further ado, they began to savor it. It wasn't just to soothe the spiciness, but rather to find comfort amidst the chaos of flavors. The moment felt honest, spontaneous, and very human. The camera captured every second, and the atmosphere became warmer. Taehyung seemed completely immersed in the simplicity of the sweet flavor. It was as if the spiciness that had just assaulted his tongue was no longer a problem. A small smile appeared, not because he had to appear in front of the camera, but because he was truly enjoying the moment. Meanwhile, Jungkook showed a different side of himself. He, usually known for his energy and focus, now seemed relaxed, even playing with the situation a little. He laughed occasionally, then went back to enjoying his ice cream, creating a unique rhythm between challenge and pleasure. The interaction between them became increasingly engaging. Without the need for lengthy dialogue, the two understood each other. Brief glances, chuckles, and spontaneous reactions created a chemistry that couldn't be faked. That's what made this moment so special. The behind-the-scenes crew seemed entertained. They might be used to seeing extreme reactions, but this was different. Instead of drama, what emerged was a warmth and honesty rarely seen in this format. As time went on, questions continued to be asked, but the audience's focus seemed divided. On the one hand, there was curiosity about their answers. On the other, there was a strong attraction in the way they enjoyed small, simple moments. Taehyung occasionally gave profound answers, but always in his relaxed manner. He didn't rush, didn't try to be perfect. That's precisely where his charm lies, a genuineness that's hard to replicate. Jungkook, in his own way, added a different energy. He was more expressive, more reactive to spiciness, but still managed to balance it with lighthearted moments that made everyone smile. When the heat reaches its peak, that's usually when the guests start to get overwhelmed. But here, the atmosphere remained under control. The ice cream seemed to be a small symbol of how they were handling the situation, in a relaxed manner, without undue pressure. Small moments like licking the remaining ice cream or laughing at the sudden spiciness became part of the larger story. This isn't just about the interview, but about how two individuals enjoy the experience in their own way. The audience watching is also swept up in the atmosphere. There's a sense of closeness, as if they're not watching a superstar, but two people having fun in an unusual situation. Behind it all, there's a simple lesson to be learned, that even in challenging situations, there's always room to find comfort. Sometimes, something as small as ice cream can make all the difference. As the session drew to a close, the atmosphere remained light. There was no lingering tension, only laughter and memories to cherish. This moment wasn't about who could handle the heat the best, but about how they navigated the experience. Taehyung and Jungkook managed to show a side rarely seen, not just as performers, but as individuals who genuinely enjoyed every moment. And that's what made this moment so memorable. What happened at that table may have seemed simple, but its impact was far greater. It was a reminder that authenticity always holds a place in the hearts of viewers, even amidst a pressure-filled format. And when the cameras finally stopped rolling, one thing was certain: this moment will live on in the memories of many. Not because of the drama, but because of the warmth it left behind. Because ultimately, it's not about how spicy the challenge is, but how we choose to enjoy it. But the story isn't truly over. In fact, after the main moment has passed, another layer begins to deepen. As the pressure begins to ease, their raw sides become more apparent, as if all the boundaries between show and reality are slowly disappearing. Taehyung seemed increasingly relaxed. He wasn't just answering questions anymore, but genuinely enjoying the interaction. There was a way he looked around, smiling for no apparent reason, that made the atmosphere feel more lively. It was as if he was inviting everyone into his relaxed, curious world. Jungkook was no less captivating. He began to show a playful side that made it hard for those around him not to laugh. Sometimes he'd overreact to a spicy food, then calm down within seconds because of the ice cream in his hand. These changes in expression were actually entertaining in themselves. At this point, the audience began to realize that what they were witnessing wasn't just a typical interview. This was a snapshot of a personality rarely seen in its entirety. There was no script dictating how they were supposed to behave. Everything just flowed naturally. Even the brief moments of silence felt different. Instead of being awkward, they allowed for emotions to be more palpable. Eye contact, small gestures, even the way they sat, all conveyed something that didn't need to be said. The surrounding crew seemed to be swept up in the atmosphere. Laughter that had been suppressed at first began to flow more freely. The energy created was no longer a formality of production, but rather a genuine togetherness between everyone in the room. Interestingly, the ice cream, initially considered merely a savior from the spiciness, now transformed into a small symbol of the moment. Each bite seemed to remind them that even in the midst of stress, there are always simple ways to enjoy the situation. Taehyung and Jungkook indirectly demonstrated that being themselves is their greatest strength. They didn't try to be the version of themselves that others expected. That's precisely why they felt so close, even through the screen. And when it was all truly over, what was left wasn't just a video recording, but a heartwarming experience. A moment that proves that sometimes the most memorable things come from unplanned events, like two people who can't stop enjoying ice cream in the midst of what should have been a serious challenge. As time passed, the moment seemed to continue to resonate, not only because of its humor, but because of a raw honesty that's hard to find in many similar shows. Viewers began to realize they had just witnessed something that felt very human. Taehyung, in his own unique way, once again displayed his unadulterated charm. He wasn't trying to be the center of attention, but that was precisely what made him stand out. Every movement felt natural, as if he'd completely forgotten the cameras were rolling. Jungkook became more immersed in the atmosphere. He began to appear more relaxed than before, even occasionally teasing the situation with a playful expression that just came out of nowhere. His reactions to the spicy and sweet flavors became a sort of entertaining little roller coaster. There was a point where they both just burst out laughing for no apparent reason. Maybe it was the odd combination of flavors, maybe it was the atmosphere that had become too comfortable. But that's precisely where the beauty lies. Laughter that comes without any real reason. Viewers watching from afar could feel the closeness. It was as if the distance between the screen and reality had become infinitesimally small. They were no longer seeing two large figures, but two people sharing a simple moment. Small details began to feel more meaningful. The way Taehyung held a spoon, the way Jungkook reacted to a question, even the pauses between conversations, all of which formed a cohesive story without the need for overdramatization. The atmosphere, initially filled with expectation, now transformed into a warm memory. The focus was no longer on the challenge, but on the experience created within. It was the kind of moment that couldn't easily be replicated. When they finally completed the session, there was a sense that something special had just happened. Not because of its grand scale, but because of its palpable sincerity. And perhaps that was the true power of this moment. That in a world often filled with pressure and expectation, two people could sit, laugh, and enjoy ice cream, and that was enough to create a story that would last forever. Even after it was all over, the image of that moment still lingered, like a piece of memory that keeps replaying, bringing back laughter, spontaneous expressions, and a warmth that's hard to describe in simple words. There's something lingering in the way they experience the experience. It's not just about how they dealt with the heat, but how they chose to savor every moment. It's not just entertainment, but a reflection of an attitude rarely recognized. To many who witnessed it, the moment may have seemed lighthearted, but a deeper look reveals a broader meaning about how happiness often comes from small, unplanned things. And ultimately, this story isn't just about an interview or a challenge. It's about two individuals who, amidst the global spotlight, managed to remain true to themselves, and that's precisely where they shine most.